Hello and welcome to your weekly dispatch, where we'll give you a rundown on news stories of national, regional, and international significance. Here's what stood out for us this week. The UN report, A World of Debt, raises alarm over global debt reaching record amounts. Turkey has finally relented on its opposition to Sweden's entry into NATO membership. We'll also look into what brought this change of heart. The United Nations Human Rights Council's approval of a resolution tabled by Pakistan against religious discrimination and Islamophobia. And for our feature story, we take stock of the 1 year since the devastating floods in Pakistan in the midst of pre-monsoon concerns in the climate-vulnerable country. The world is drowning in debt. According to a recent UN report titled A World of Debt, global public debt reached an alarming milestone in 2022, soaring to a record $92 trillion. The report highlights the severity of the situation with approximately 3.3 billion individuals, nearly half of the world's population, residing in countries where debt interest payments outweigh investments in education and healthcare. The burden of debt is especially severe for developing nations, exacerbated by compounding crises and the escalating costs of borrowing. According to the United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, African countries on average face borrowing expenses 4 times higher than the United States and 8 times higher than the wealthiest European nations. The report further reveals that an increasing number of developing countries, a total of 59, struggle with a debt-to-GDP ratio surpassing 60%, a recognized international threshold indicating excessive debt. This figure is a significant rise from 2011, when only 22 nations faced such a predicament. The findings underscore the urgent need for concerted global efforts to address the mounting debt crisis and its far-reaching implications on social development, economic stability, and poverty eradication. Without decisive action, the world risks sinking further into the quagmire of debt, impeding progress and hindering the welfare of billions. Moving on to Turkey. In a diplomatic breakthrough, Turkey has reached an agreement to allow Sweden to join the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, also known as NATO, after successful closed-door negotiations between NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg and the leaders of both countries. This positive development comes after Sweden, along with Finland, submitted an official application for NATO membership in May 2022, prompted by the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. The main hurdle for Sweden and Finland's membership aspirations has been Turkey's objection. However, with Turkey's objection now rescinded, Sweden is expected to become the 32nd member of NATO. Apparently, Ankara's support for Stockholm's bid comes as a result of receiving backing on key conditions, including the procurement of US F-16s and visa-free travel to the European Schengen area. The inclusion of Finland had already expanded NATO's border with Russia, and the addition of Sweden would significantly enhance the alliance's presence in the Baltic Sea region and the Arctic region. The agreement signals a strategic shift in Sweden's defense and foreign policy as it embraces a more active role within the NATO alliance, ending its long-term military neutrality. With these developments, the balance of power in the region is likely to undergo a notable transformation as NATO's influence extends further into the northern reaches of Europe. And now to the United Nations Human Rights Council, which has approved a resolution titled Countering Religious Hatred Constituting Incitement to Discrimination, Hostility, or Violence. The resolution comes in the aftermath of the desecration of the Holy Quran in Stockholm, Sweden, which drew strong condemnation from across the world. Introduced by Pakistan on behalf of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, representing 57 nations, the resolution calls for the UN Rights Chief to publish a report on religious hatred and urges states to review their laws to address any gaps hindering the prevention and prosecution of such acts and advocacy. Reactions to the resolution have been mixed. The Muslim world sees it as a necessary step to combat religious hatred, while the United States and European powers have opposed it, arguing that it contradicts human rights principles and may limit freedom of speech. It is worth noting that Pakistan has been actively taking a vocal stance on these issues. Just last year, the country proposed a resolution at the United Nations to designate March 15th as the International Day for Combating Islamophobia, commemorating the tragic Christchurch mosque shootings in New Zealand. This recent resolution reflects Pakistan's ongoing efforts to address and confront religious intolerance on the global stage. And now for our feature story. It has been a year since the deadly floods triggered by unprecedented monsoon rains in Pakistan, spanning nearly 10 million acres, and deadly floods resulting in staggering economic losses and damages estimated at over $30 billion, inflicting insurmountable hardship on the country's people and infrastructure. A third of Pakistan's territory was submerged as a result of the calamity, with devastating consequences for its population. According to Pakistan's National Disaster Management Authority, over 33 million individuals were affected, and more than 1 million homes were either destroyed or damaged. The widespread devastation has not only displaced countless families, but has also triggered a staggering rise in malnutrition rates, with the World Food Programme indicating an alarming increase of over 50% since the floods. While Pakistan bears a minimal responsibility for global greenhouse gas emissions, accounting for less than 1% of the total, it is unjustly burdened with the dire repercussions of heightened greenhouse gas emission levels caused by the developed world. As Pakistan endeavors to recover from the last year's devastation, it faces a fresh onslaught of challenges as heavy monsoon rains return to the region. Lahore was recently pounded by a record-breaking deluge, receiving a staggering 272 milliliters of rain within just 9 hours, causing a trail of destruction, claiming the lives of more than 20 individuals and wreaking havoc on the roads and the everyday lives of its residents. The recurrence of such extreme weather events, characterized by increasing scorching summers and excessively wet monsoons, serves as a stark reminder of the intensifying climate crisis. As Pakistan grapples with the devastating consequences of climate change-induced disasters, the urgent need for international cooperation and financial support becomes all the more evident. Failure to address these challenges in a timely and comprehensive manner not only hampers the nation's recovery efforts, but perpetuates a cycle of destruction and suffering for its people. I am Hajira Asaf Khan, and this was your Weekly Dispatch.